Hola, seahorses, El Senor Brandon here in beautiful Cancun, Mexico. It's Tuesday night, July 3rd, and episode 2 of my Mexico vlogs. And this episode's going to be a little different than my last one. We're actually going to backtrack back to Monday, and I'm actually going to show you guys my experience basically my journey to Mexico. Let's go.
I said before that I had to take 2 airplanes and fly over 3,000 miles to get to Mexico. My first flight was to take off at Lambert St. Louis International Airport early Monday morning, around 7 a.m. We were flying on an airline called United, which is a major airline that has many different types of aircrafts. From small 19-seaters to a plane that can hold 375 people. Our first flight was short, only about an hour long, so we flew in a smaller plane called EMB, or an Embraer 145. There it is. Our first flight left from St. Louis and would go all the way down to Houston, Texas.
Now you're probably wondering, how does Mr. Brandon know so much about airplanes? Well guys, believe it or not, Mr. Brandon used to fly airplanes. Don't believe me? Here's a video to prove it. Good times. But let's go back to my trip to Mexico.
Now Houston Airport is called George Bush Intercontinental Airport, and it's huge, much bigger than the one in St. Louis. I was excited about being in Texas because I've never been to Texas before, but I was ready to get to my final destination, which was Cancun, Mexico. This time, we're going to fly in a much bigger aircraft called a Boeing 737-800, which is a 175-seater. Not long after we got to our seats, it was time for takeoff. The captain ordered us to put on our seatbelts, and just like that, we took off. Mexico, here I come. Now Mexico is surrounded by three major bodies of water. The Pacific Ocean on the west coast, and the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea on the east coast. But what's the difference between an ocean, a sea, or a gulf? Isn't it all just water? Believe it or not, planet Earth is made up of 70% salt water and only 30% of land. An ocean is the largest body of water. A sea is a smaller body of salt water, but it is a part of a larger ocean. For instance, the Caribbean Sea by Mexico is a part of the Atlantic Ocean. It's a sea because it's surrounded by land, but it's not a lake because 1, a lake doesn't have salt water, and 2, a lake is completely surrounded by land on all sides. A sea is not. As you can see, ships can easily pass here, 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 and here. Now a gulf, like the Gulf of Mexico, which is what we flew over to get to Mexico, is very similar to a sea because 1, it has to be saltwater, it has to be part of an ocean, and it cannot be completely surrounded by land, or that would be a lake. But the difference between a gulf and a sea is a gulf is simply bigger.
That's cool.
Now let's get back to the flight. We're almost in Mexico. We're descending. I think it's time to land. Here's the landing.
Oh, look, that's fine. That's fine. I noticed you. I don't know. You want to hold this? Put this in that there? The land. Yeah, no, that's
Alright guys, that's all I have time for today. But stay tuned for the next episode, which will be the water episode. We'll talk about ocean wildlife. You see me go swimming, kayaking, deep sea fishing, and snorkeling. Alright guys, catch you guys later.